Hey everybody, I'm going to talk tonight about the shot process. Alright, so if you've been following me on Facebook and all that sort of stuff, you probably saw the call out on people to just say fundamentals. Not going to spend a lot of time on fundamentals. Once I get into this, you'll understand why. But just want to say right off the rip, if you're the type of person that just says apply the fundamentals, bro, or hey, it's all fundamentals, nobody has a fucking clue what you're talking about. And yes, there's language in there because this isn't made for kids, and I have to tell YouTube that every time. Now, what I mean when I say that you're not saying anything to anybody is, I know guys that teach 4 fundamentals, guys that teach 2 fundamentals, I got guys that teach 8 fundamentals, 6 fundamentals, all sorts of fundamentals. There's somebody out there that teaches 7, which is really weird to me. But just saying the word fundamentals doesn't say anything. Now to you, it means something, right? And if you say fundamentals to me, I have my version of the fundamentals. So you're telling me something, but if I already have a version of the fundamentals, I probably know what the fundamentals are and attempted to apply them. So you're not saying shit. And I'm going to start calling you out on it because this book that I'm going to talk about here in a second came out in 2016, okay? I've been talking about the shot process since then, and before then actually, as we started building this thing. So as I go through this, you're going to understand what I mean by fundamentals, and we're going to start with the 2 truths. Now, the argument could be made that these 2 things are the fundamentals, because fundamentals, if you go ahead and Google the definition of fundamental, you're going to see that it's something that has to be done, right? So for something to be fundamental, if you can get away with not doing it, it's not fundamental, right? And that was the main problem I had with the fundamentals, other than idiots saying, it's the fundamentals, just apply your fundamentals, okay? So that was the first problem, was idiots. And the second problem was, what actually has to be done to have the shot have the desired effect, as in the bullet hitting the target, right? So as we started going through that, we came up with the shot process. These things should be done in this order, and if they're done in this order, you're probably going to have an effect. All right? So that turned into a process. Now we have sports psychologists that we've been working with. We've been working with a bunch of dudes. We got Army Research Institute. We got historical documents. We got all sorts of stuff that turned it into it. But if you think about it, what do I have to do to take this pistol, which is clear, take this pistol, other than put rounds into it, and hit a target with it, right? So first thing I have to do is I have to grip the pistol. So the first step in the shot process is getting a hold of the firearm, right? Next step is getting stable enough to where the sights are on the target, okay? So if I'm this bad and the gun is shaking this much, am I going to be able to aim it? Probably not, right? Which, aiming happens to be my next step. So I have to get stable enough to put the sights on the target. Now, if the target is really close, I could probably get away with doing this, with pointing my finger at it. That is an aimed fire technique, sort of. It is generally aimed at the target for what we need it to. If that person was at that wall, I could probably just do that, right? But I have to get stable enough to put my little red dot on the target long enough for me to press the trigger and for the shot to go off, right? So that in itself is the shot process, okay? Simply the process of things that you have to do in order to get your shot. Now, to understand that, first thing that you need to understand is you need to understand target size, target distance, and shooter capability, right? So first, let's take a IPSC size target, humanoid size target. If I'm shooting it with this Nice Armament LPR with 77 grain cool bullets in it, and I'm shooting it at IPSC at 100 yards, I can get away with a lot of stuff. I can have all kinds of error in there. If the sights are even on the target long enough for the shot to go off, I'm going to get a hit, right? This is about a 1-minute gun, so it's going to shoot 1 inch. I got 18 inches, so I got 18 inches of error that I can mess up in, right? But doing that same shot on that same target with the capability of holding this pistol, I have to put a whole lot more work into it, right? Everybody understands that. Once you hear it, you go, oh, makes sense. Cool, right? Target size, target distance, shooter capability. Okay, stole that from Ken Rose of the AMU, so check him out. Anyway, shot process is the things that I need to do in order to get that shot at that particular target size at that particular distance. Okay, so if I'm shooting a 300-yard target, Okay, we'll call it an IPSC, so we still have plenty of space, but we don't have that much room for error. But if I need to shoot a 300-yard target, I need to get a hold of the rifle, okay? I need to get the rifle stable enough to apply my aim to it, right? Now aim. Everybody likes to say sight alignment, okay? That's cool. How do you define sight alignment? Okay, the Army defined it as your eye, the rear sight, and the front sight. Okay, that was it. So just having sight alignment under that definition doesn't mean that I'm going to get a hit on the target, because the target is nowhere involved in that process. In that definition, there's no target in it, right? So words mean things. Your definition has to match everybody else's definition. So just saying something, if your definitions don't match, then you're not saying shit. Okay, it's kind of like saying apply the fundamentals, bro. So sight alignment is that. Sight picture was the introduction of the target. So when the Army used to roll around, they used to say sight picture, sight picture. That was properly aligned sights applied to the target. Now an easier way of saying that is aim, right? Because there's only one Army document that talked about sight picture, okay, for rifles, and that was the old version of 22.9. The pistols talked about it a little bit, but every other piece of doctrine in the Army talked about aiming. Okay, so sight alignment plus the target, sight picture, all that together, henceforth known as aim. Okay, everybody got it? Everybody tracking? Good. So I have to get stable enough to aim with that proper hold and elevation to get that hit on that target. I have to remain stable enough to keep that aim on that target for long enough for me to press the trigger and for the bullet to leave the barrel. Once the bullet leaves the barrel, then I have no more control over it, and everything that I did prior to that is going to make that shot hit or miss, right? Then I need to see if it worked. I need to do follow through. The sights are going to give me information. So as I shoot it and I do my follow through and I see what the sights did, that tells me how good my stability was. It tells me if I got a hit on the target, if I can move on, or if I need to shoot the target again, right? So that's part of your follow through. All that is a process, okay? Stole this little diagram that's inside TC 322.9, May of 2016. This little diagram right here, stole that directly from the AMU as well. This is a shot process example. It says pre-shot is position, natural point of aim, aiming, and hold, right? So the aiming is basically aiming at the target. Hold is applying if I, 300-yard target with this gun, I need to apply 1.2 minutes or 1.2 mils. So I put my 1.2 mil line on there. If I apply any wind that needs to be on there, that's my hold, right? That is all pre-shot. Now the shot is where I'm putting all of my control factors into it. My breathing control, my trigger control, making sure that my sights are refined. I have a 1.2 hold on there, and I'm making that, as I'm pressing the trigger, I'm making sure all that is there until the last second. When the trigger goes off, then I see if it worked or not, okay? It's all part of a process. That's what I'm going to do, right? If I'm shooting a 25-yard B8, I'm going to take this pistol, I'm going to press it out, I'm going to make sure my sights are there, I got a good grip, my sights are there, I'm stable enough to keep it there, I'm going to press the trigger, pistol's going to function, then I'm going to see if it worked or not. It's the same shot process. So when I say the shot process, that's what we're going to do, right? So if you listen to trainers out there, and I listen to a bunch of trainers over the years, I listened to trainers recently, you listen to somebody's podcast, you go to somebody's class, you listen to their class, they're all telling you to do this process, okay? Even the way the old fundamentals were written, it told you to do that shot process because it talked about steady position, it talked about aiming, okay, sight picture, then it talked about your trigger control, your trigger squeeze, okay, and then somewhere in there they talked about breathing. We'll talk about breathing in a minute. But they basically laid out a shot process as those fundamentals were written, okay? So all of the things that you guys know as fundamentals are part of your shot process, okay? The thing is, let's take breathing. If I have to shoot a CQB range target 25 yards and in, and I have this rifle, and I have to shoot a 25-yard target, and I am standing up, is breathing a factor, right? It's not, okay? And what is the real problem with breathing, okay? When I do my big inhale, and the muzzle goes down. When I exhale, it goes up, right? what's really happening in there? Is it the breathing that's causing that shot to change positions? No, it's the sights in a different spot. So is that an aiming problem or a breathing problem? It's an aiming problem, okay? And it's a stability problem, because if you're not stable enough to inhale and exhale without causing a lot of movement into the rifle, now when you get into super precision-y stuff, this gets a little bit more important, right? But for you typical shooters that are shooting 3 minutes or above targets, if you're not stable enough to control the rifle, then it's really a stability problem and not a breathing problem. Okay? So you can take that fundamental and you can blow that into the sky, because really what you need to do is you need to aim it, right? So the two truths of marksmanship are: you need to properly point the weapon, aiming, or rifle or firearm, aiming, and fire it without disturbing the aim. Okay? So if my 1.2 mil hold, I get my 1.2 mils on there, I get all stable, I'm there, I get it on there, and I need to keep it on there long enough to press the trigger so the bullet can leave, right? Now, as you get into super more precision-y stuff, okay, when you're shooting the F-class stuff and you're having to shoot a half-minute target at 600 yards, what I was finding was my position was breaking down fast enough. I wasn't stable enough. This is a stability problem. But my position was breaking down and the rifle was slightly dipping down before the bullet had time to exit the barrel. So under recoil, in that millisecond, I was moving enough to throw my shot off half a minute. And I was printing half a minute high all the time. Well, not all the time, because it wasn't consistent enough to make an adjustment for it, right? So that is more important. But if I was shooting that 600-yard target, if I was just trying to hit the bullseye and not the X-ring, I was getting my hits. It was good enough, okay? So your shot process basically gets as refined or unrefined as you need it to go, okay? It's just like this pistol. If I need to shoot the wall right there, I can go like that, and I would hit the wall, okay? There's a poster right there. Don't know if it's a video or not, but I could hit the poster, right? I could hit the poster like that because I know where my finger's at, and I know I'd hit the poster, right? So that shot process for that target was get a hold of the gun and get the gun general vicinity of it and press the trigger, right? Now, if I needed to hit that same poster and I was 100 yards away, then I need to do a whole lot more work. And most of you guys understand that. Putting things into a process, okay? Just think about when you were driving, when you first learned how to drive. Pretty much anything that you're going to do, you're putting it into a process. It's a natural human thing, right? To put it into a process. If you think about your shooting now, because I doubt if I have anybody listening to this that has never shot a gun, you have a process. You do it. If you're shooting well, you have a process. You have all the things that you do. And I'm not talking about all the little weirdo things like people do, like put their tongue at the left side of there and wait in between heartbeats and all the other little weirdo stuff. That is part of the shot process. And it can get that deep, right? So it could be as basic as grab the gun, aim the gun, press the trigger, see if it worked. Or it can be as detailed down into as I put the tongue in the left side of my mouth, right? So that's what you need to figure out as the shooter for what you need to do. Remember I said shooter capability in there, right? If I can have no mistakes, get that out of the way, just make a noise. If I can have no mistakes, say I got a 3-minute gun and I'm shooting at a 3-minute target, and I can have 0 mistakes on my part, then I need to put a lot of effort into that shot process because I need to do everything right, right? But if I have a 1-minute gun and I'm shooting a 6-minute target, then I can fudge a little bit on that process, which can buy me time, right? But the process needs to be as exact as you can get it. Now, when you first start writing out your process, you need to write out the whole thing. It might be 46 steps, okay? It might be 7 steps. It might be 8 steps. Guess what that is? That is your fundamentals, okay? That's your personal, customized set of fundamentals for things that you need to do to get the shot with that selected firearm on that target, okay? So it's your shot process. It's what you're going to do, right? So when I say shot process, and I talk shit about people that are saying fundamentals, like I say, it's the people that don't understand what they're talking about or just trying to sound cool, or Army NCOs. And Army NCOs, I'm out. I got a beard. Don't give a shit what you guys think. Most of you guys are terrible when it comes to teaching marksmanship. So just take that as it is, read the books, get better, and we'll get along just fine. But all those things that we do in there, cant on the gun, all those sort of things are part of your shot process. So that's what I mean when I'm talking about shot process. It's if you want to shoot better and you want to shoot consistent, it's what you're doing anyway. So hopefully this video turns out. This is like my 4th attempt at it because I keep going on the rants and I keep going off into outer space. Try to keep this one more focused, and hopefully it turns out good. I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen, and have a good night. All right, so we're talking about aiming the gun, right? Getting stable. Basically, I'm on a Armageddon gear bag on top of the tripod. I got my little targets here that probably look terrible through the thing. It's hard to see. So we're going to go with this inside this Magpul symbol right here. Just going to go for our shot. Is going to be right down in here. Right. So what I need to do is I need to get stable enough for the shot. So my first part of my shot process is I'm getting my natural point of aim. I'm getting behind the scope. I'm getting on there. I'm generally aimed on the target. Right. I'm checking stability. I'm going to come in here. And I'm going to get stable again. Got a little bit of wiggle right there. That's in the tripod. So I'm getting stable on that tripod, getting there. And you notice on my sights, even though I'm talking, my sights are pretty close to in there. Right? So I'm in here. And I'm going to do another shot. Down a little fast. Right? So I just need to get stable enough to get in here. Alright? Now, if I'm shooting on one of these smaller targets that you're seeing in the bottom of the screen, I need to get stable enough to get that shot. That was a little left. All right, come in here, going to get stable enough. Notice I had to stop jammering long enough to get that in there. Okay, so that's all stability. That's all part of my process. So if I'm just going to shoot this one, I can pretty much snap up here, do a shot. All right, and come in here. Now I got to slow down a little bit. And that one was a little right too. All right, so we'll do that video and then we'll do some on the Mantis. Alright, so we're here on the Mantis. Okay, now I've got the score set for 98. So that's a pretty good shot anyway you cut it. Alright, so we'll go to our big target. 99. Alright, now go to our little target. 96, that's terrible. 95, that one was worse. 98. 96. Now each one of these is a shot process that I'm getting on here to do. And there's another 98. So that's kind of what the shot process does, what it looks like for score.